The NBA is full of superstars. There are so many entertaining players around the league. However, there's one name that stands out for us this season, and that is Donovan Mitchell. Mitchell made his move to the Cleveland Cavaliers ahead of this season after a successful spell with Utah. Though in Cleveland, he's been playing at a whole other level. In today's video, we'll talk about his latest record-breaking exploits in the league. First things first, Donovan Mitchell breaks into the record books with an outrageous performance. The Cleveland Cavaliers probably did have an idea of what they were getting when they acquired Donovan Mitchell from the Utah Jazz ahead of the 2022-23 NBA season. He had been a pretty good player over in Utah, having made it to the NBA All-Star team in each of his last 3 seasons with the Jazz. Many people thought that the 3-time NBA All-Star had hit his ceiling in his time with Utah. However, neither Cleveland nor anyone else could predict what was to follow. Ever since joining the Cavs, Mitchell has been on a whole new level. He's playing basketball that he's never played before. He has single-handedly propelled the Cavaliers into the upper echelons of the NBA with his explosive performances. The difference he has made would be apparent if you compare the Cavs' performances this season with their performances over the last few seasons. In Cleveland's game against the Chicago Bulls last week, Donovan Mitchell took things up another notch with his most explosive performance yet. Cleveland's new man popped up with a remarkable 71 points on his own against the Bulls. His performance on the night raised a lot of eyebrows, and even the people who were sleeping on him up until now had to wake up and take notice. Next up, how did the night go exactly? In many ways, it was one of the most complete performances we've ever seen in the NBA. It wasn't just the points, which were more than enough on their own, it was the aggression and the intensity with which the former Utah man was playing. And we don't need to tell you, you've seen the 3-time NBA All-Star play for a number of years. He's usually an electrifying presence on the basketball court. Against the Bulls last week, electrifying doesn't even begin to cover the performance he gave. It was something else. It was as if the 26-year-old had gotten up that morning, having decided to take matters into his own hands. He took the game by the scruff of the neck and didn't loosen his grasp throughout it. There wasn't a single moment in that game where the shooting guard didn't have his foot on the throttle. It was an absolutely amazing performance that left the Bulls completely flattened by the end of it. And the Bulls weren't even that bad on the night. The game actually finished in a stalemate after the 4 quarters, with both teams having scored 130 points each. The Cavs drifted away from the Bulls as they scored 15 points compared to just 4 points from the Bulls in overtime. The win took the Cavs' record in the league this season to 22-14. It stands at 26-15 at the moment. Moving on, breaking down the numbers of Mitchell's 71-point game. We genuinely think that Donovan Mitchell is one of the league's best shooters. We feel that he often doesn't get enough credit for his shooting, and that's why when everyone was surprised by his points tally last week against the Bulls, we actually weren't that surprised. We've always known that he had the potential to become one of the league's best point scorers. He's fast, athletic, and knows where the basket is. That's the recipe for a shooting masterclass. Mitchell's 71 points on the night included shooting 22 of 34 from the field and 20 out of 25 from the free throw line. His points tally included 7 3-pointers as well. His ability to shoot 3-pointers is definitely quite underrated. Now, we're not saying that he's Steph Curry level, but he can definitely pack a punch when it comes to shooting from range. That's all we're saying. To match his scoring on the night, the shooting guard also made 11 assists in the 50 minutes that he played on the night. He also had 8 rebounds on the night to go with his points and assists. With his exploits, Donovan Mitchell became the player ever to score more than 70 points and make more than 10 assists in a single game. It really was one of the greatest scoring performances we've ever seen. Next, Mitchell's heroics went further than the 71 points. It's not just that Donovan Mitchell can score points for you, it's the fact that his intelligence goes way beyond what you normally see among the players in the NBA. His performance wasn't just elite numbers, it was also match-saving and winning for the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's where the 26-year-old has made a difference to this Cleveland side. He has got them winning games again. The 3-time NBA All-Star pulled off a near-impossible putback layup in the last seconds of normal time to take the game into overtime. He missed a free throw on purpose and then scored a layup to make the scores level with just 3 seconds left in regulation. He finished the regulation time with 58 points, which was quite remarkable on its own. In the overtime that followed, Mitchell scored another 13 points, taking the game completely away from the Chicago Bulls, who looked like they had almost frozen on the court. His 13 points led the Cavaliers to a crucial win, and his performance on the night drew MVP chants from the home fans late in the game as the 26-year-old had possession of the ball. Looks like Cleveland fans finally have someone to champion chant MVP for since LeBron James left. Up next, how did Mitchell react to his record-breaking performance? Mitchell also spoke after the game, which makes sense since every reporter in the arena wanted a piece of the Cleveland shooting guard. As expected, he didn't take a lot of the credit for the performance himself. Instead, he focused on the team and gave credit to his teammates. He said that while his 70-odd points were a lot, he wouldn't have been able to get them if it weren't for his teammates. He gave them credit for making extremely crucial plays throughout the game as he was speaking to Bally Sports Cleveland after the game. He remained humble and mentioned that his teammates put him in the right positions and he just made the plays. He emphasized that the win belonged to the whole team and they achieved it together. He also shared that he had told his coach, JB Bickerstaff, not to take him out of the game as he knew he would be able to make a difference for them. The former Utah man expressed his delight with his performance and shared that he feels truly blessed and humbled to be where he's at. Mitchell also admitted that he was a little shocked with his own performance, saying that he could barely walk in the final 2 minutes of the game because of cramps. He also thanked the fans as he was greeted with some of the loudest cheers of the night. Next, did the Cavaliers know what they were getting with Donovan Mitchell? The Cleveland Cavaliers obviously rated the Utah Jazz man quite highly, which is why they went and got him in the first place. They also had to give up some talented players in order to get him. That tells you something about their commitment to get Mitchell. They could obviously see what the others couldn't, because no one really thought that Mitchell would be getting MVP shouts in his first season with the Cavaliers. He has totally gone and surpassed everyone's expectations with them. The Cavaliers have gotten all that they were expecting with Mitchell and a lot more. Now, we're not exactly sure about the MVP shouts as there are some serious contenders ahead of him in the league. However, it's important to point out that the former Utah man is having his best season in the NBA so far. He's scoring an average of 28.8 points in the league so far, which is better than his career average and better than any of his seasons with the Utah Jazz. Leaving the MVP shouts on one side, what we can say for sure is that the Cavaliers look set to go deep into the NBA playoffs this season if Donovan Mitchell can keep playing the way that he is. Who knows, they might end up in their first NBA Finals since LeBron left for the Los Angeles Lakers. Let's see what happens. Finally, the Chicago Bulls fail against a record-breaking Mitchell. It looks like the Chicago Bulls had an unlucky time out in Cleveland as they lost out in both games. Both games could have gone in their favor as both of them were pretty close. They lost the first game of the mini-series narrowly by just 1 point, in a game that finished 102-103, while the second game could have easily finished in their favor if it weren't for Donovan Mitchell's heroics in the last seconds of regulation time. Even though they lost both games, we wouldn't want the Bulls to feel too bad about themselves, as they pretty much couldn't do a lot more than they did in both of those games, especially in the second game where it appeared that Donovan Mitchell had decided to put the Bulls to the sword. Even then, he couldn't get Cleveland a win in regulation time. The Bulls put up a pretty good fight in normal time, managing to fight off Mitchell, who had gone pretty much insane. The Chicago Bulls, however, have done quite well over the last few games. They have somewhat managed to recover their season with their recent form. They currently have a record of 19-21 as they sit 9th in the Eastern Conference. After their loss against a record-breaking Donovan Mitchell last week, the Bulls have managed to win their next 3 games in a row, including a great win against the Brooklyn Nets. And that's where we'll end our video today. Where do you rate that performance from Donovan Mitchell among the greatest ever individual performances in the NBA? Don't forget to let us know in the comments section. Please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for all the latest news in town. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.